What's up, guys? Scotty2Hockey here, aka the Average Hockey Fan once again, and one hot topic amongst Habs fans is whether or not Andrew Shaw should be traded. Now, some of this is due to his health issues since he's come over to Montreal. He hasn't played a full season. Some of this is due to how good he was this year and the fact that his value is so high. And some of this is due to that his cap hit is a bit high for the kind of player he is. Although he does bring a lot more than points. I've heard a lot of Habs fans make the point he doesn't put up enough points for a guy who makes pretty much $4 million a year. But I look at it more than points. He's good on the face-off, he's gritty, he's an aggressive player, and he brings experience that not a lot of Habs players have. He's a Stanley Cup champion, and he's proven himself in the playoffs. So there are points why Andrew Shaw should stick around. And he had over 40 points this year, which in my mind is worth $4 million for everything else that he brings. He also kills penalties. But as for Andrew Shaw, whether or not I feel he should get traded, myself personally, unless we know for sure someone like Nick Suzuki is going to make the team or something like that, unless a big top six forward gets signed, I would like to see him stick around myself because I like what he brings to the team and he has good chemistry with Max Domi. So as for Andrew Shaw, I had written down, after two lackluster injury-riddled seasons in Montreal, Andrew Shaw and his almost $4 million cap hit were looking like another bad move by Marc Bergevin. The former Stanley Cup champ from Chicago was brought over to help solidify Montreal's top six core on the wing his top six core on the wing, and add much needed help on the face-off dot as well. He was traded from Chicago to Montreal. Montreal gave up 2 second-round picks, one of which turned out to be Alex DeBrincat. Shaw looked like an undisciplined, regressing player coming into this year, but boy did he prove the doubters wrong. Shaw came into this year and had a rough start, being a healthy scratch at one point, but after that he found his groove. Now Andrew Shaw is looking like an aggressive, fast, in-your-face, two-way player. He brings solid offense with the ability to get in front of the net, to tip in clutch shots, or screen a goalie so another player can get a goal by him. He hits, kills penalties, wins face-offs when called upon. He can basically slot in on any line and have an effective role. This now has many Habs fans very excited to see him next year. He is one of the few truly proven playoff veterans on the Montreal Canadiens. We need players like this for sure. But at the same time, some fans want more room for new younger players and a top six unrestricted free agent upgrade through free agency this year if Marc Bergevin signs one, that is. And one way to do that is to trade Shaw. While his value is high, why not trade him for a left-handed D to solidify the D core and to replace his role on the top six, add an upgrade through free agency? This is what a lot of Habs fans are thinking. Now, this is not my personal thoughts. This is what a lot of Habs fans are saying. A lot of Habs fans are saying because he missed 20 games his first year, he missed over 30 games his next year, and this year, even though putting up career highs, he missed another 20 games. He's proven he's kind of an injury-riddled player. He has been breaking down, and maybe it's the style of hockey he plays. He's a very aggressive, hardcore player. Like, he puts everything on the line every game. He's a heart and soul player like that. So maybe he is breaking down, and maybe this is the time to sign him because he signed up, or maybe this is the time to trade him, because he signed up until 2021, 2022. So we'll have to see what Montreal decides to do there. But as for Andrew Shaw's numbers, I can list out his numbers from his first year in Chicago, all 3 of his years in Montreal, and you guys can decide for yourself whether or not you think that's worth $4 million cap hit. And it will be till 2021, 2022. So it doesn't just end next year. It's a cap hit you're going to have for a while. And whether or not this player can maintain the play he had this year is very hard to say because he's never had totals close to what he had this year. He really did step up his game this year. If he had to have an 82-game season, he would have far succeeded his career highs. So in 2016-2017 for the Montreal Canadiens, in 68 games played, I'll start off with Chicago. In 2015-2016 for the Chicago Blackhawks, in 78 games played, he's never played 78 games for the Habs. He's never played over 70 for the Habs, so that's how much time he's missed. In 78 games played, he had 14 goals, 20 assists, 34 points, was a +11 with 148 hits, 46.5% on the face-off dot. And he was excellent in the playoffs that year too. Now, in 2016-2017, he got into the playoffs with Montreal. They got eliminated by New York, but he wasn't excellent by any means. In 2016-2017, in the regular season, in 68 games played, the closest he's come to 70 in Montreal, he had 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points, was a +4, had 147 hits, played and had a 54.6% face-off percentage. So not terrible numbers, not horrible regression, but not what you want for $4 million. And he wasn't half as aggressive as what he was in Chicago. And when he was, he hurt the team with a lot of bad penalties. When he came to Montreal, he almost seemed like an undisciplined player. He seemed like whether or not he got along with the coaching staff, whether it was just Chicago had him trained to be that way in Chicago where he could play with discipline and then lay it on the lawn in other games, he couldn't seem to do that in Montreal. He just seemed to be very undisciplined, very lost out there to me. And then in 2017, 2018, he had one of his worst career years, and it was an injury-riddled year. In 51 games played, he had 10 goals, 10 assists, 20 points, was a -8, only had 80 hits, his second lowest in his career. Over, I believe, Shaw's played about 10 years, close to 10 years in the league, and that was his second lowest in his career. And his face-off percentage was solid that year, once again, 54.3. He's always been solid in the face-off dot. But this year, he really stepped it up. Coming into this year, a lot of people said, Andrew Shaw's a regressing old player. I wish I could move him. He only had 20 points last year. He was injured most of the year. He didn't help the team. The team was one of the most horrible teams we've ever had with him at the forefront, supposedly top 6. He wasn't legit top 6. So coming into this year, it was a player a lot of Habs fans would have liked to see moved. But honestly, he seemed like he was untradeable because of his cap hit. And then he came into this year, and it was a completely different story. Because in 63 games played, he had 19 goals, 28 assists, 47 points, was a +17 with 128 hits, and 47.1% on the faceoffs. So career high in goals, career high in assists, 47 points, obviously a career high, and a big career high in +17. I believe his previous career high was a +11, so up that by 6 points. Had an excellent year, showed he can play with young players like Jesperi Kotkaniemi on the third line, showed he can play a fourth line checking role if absolutely needed, can kill penalties, and is excellent in the top 6. Excellent with that Max Domi. Whoever else is on the other side, it doesn't matter. I feel Andrew Shaw and Max Domi have really good chemistry. They're both really gritty players. They're not scared to get in your face. Obviously, Domi is tougher, but Shaw's more of an agitator. Some people call him a poor man's Gallagher. I suppose that does make sense. But Gally does have kind of a different style of game. It's not the same as Shaw's when you actually watch him on the ice. But that's been one big knock on Shaw. A lot of people call him a poor man's Gallagher. You can agree or disagree with that. Me, myself, I do not agree with that. But as for Andrew Shaw, I do not want to see him get traded personally unless we know somebody like Nick Suzuki is going to make it next year, which only time can tell. None of us is going to know that. Or unless they pick up a very, very big top 6 upgrade. If they go out and get Jeff Skinner or Matt Duchene or something like that, then I could see Andrew Shaw being moved out because you're going to have to move Domi to the wing or you're going to have to bring Skinner in and put him on the wing and move another wing on the other side. It would be a lot of moving around, but somehow you would have to get Shaw there, and it would add $4 mil extra cap for the next 3 seasons. That's a $4 mil cap hit gone right there. So a lot of fans are agreeing with Andrew Shaw being traded out of Montreal. Me personally, unless it's not a good deal, you're getting a left-handed defenseman coming back, and you know that you're going to have somebody to take his spot in the top 6 next year, I don't want to see it. Because I really like Andrew Shaw. I really like what he brings to Montreal, and in the playoffs, he shows you what kind of player he can be. Anybody who's followed the Blackhawks, my stepdad is a huge Blackhawks fan, knows what kind of player Andrew Shaw truly is when it's all on the line. So anyways, guys, this is Scotty2Hockey, a.k.a. The Average Hockey Fan. Thanks for sticking with me on this one, bit of a longer video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell for my upcoming videos, comment on what you think of the Shaw trade. Do you think he should be traded or not? It's been a pretty big rumor, and if anybody was to get moved, him or Drew Wann are the two that makes sense to me. Go Habs, go. Scotty2Hockey, a.k.a. The Average Hockey Fan, over and out. Enjoy.